They're a great side, and they showed us how to play on the weekend. We started the season well, and it sort of put in perspective where we really are. We're not quite there yet, and we're going to work hard and try and remedy a few things, and we're going to try and strive to be competing with the teams like Leeds and that.
Perhaps the scoreline didn't reflect the performance from the boys.
Yeah, well, it was 10-0 at half time, and I thought we were right in it, but Leeds they found another gear, and we lost a few players. We lost Joe Miller and Danny Tickle, and I guess it sort of hampered our attack and our defence. So we just fell apart a bit.
It's all about being clinical, isn't it? The drop ball or a little bit of mistake, they're just on it like a rash, aren't they, and whoosh, they're away.
Yeah, definitely. That's what sets them apart. We had a few chances, but we just didn't take them, and every chance they got, they managed to hit make a gap and capitalise on that. So we need to learn from that, and we need to put it right in training.
So you've got Hull FC this weekend, and hopefully get back on the road.
Yeah, definitely. Hull FC are going to be a good test. The last 2 years we went there, they've put us to the sword. So hopefully we can put things bright this week and get a win.
Your own form today, how's that going, Cameron?
Yeah, I've only played the one game, and it was my first game back. I was pretty quiet, to be honest. I thought hopefully this week I can get some more ball, and just as the week goes by, get a bit fitter and match fitter and work harder and keep improving my own performance.
And how do you see the season progressing, first of all, for Cameron Phelps and for this Widnes Vikings side? Yeah,
well, hopefully we build on the start we've had and take it in, hopefully top 8. And, hopefully my form, I can continue to get better and stay in the team. And, the competition for places at the moment's the best we've had at Widnes while I've been here. So, it's a great place to be, and for the coaches, and competition for places makes you hungry.
This is Radio General,
keeping you up to date with everything rugby league. This is the Final Hooter on Radio General.
Oh yes, it's that time of the show where we switch our allegiances, don't we?
We do.
We go from black and white to primrose and blue. It's all about talking about the Warrington Wolves between now and 8 o'clock. But before we do that, we're actually celebrating.
Go on.
We're celebrating Wigan Week. Come on, go for it.
Yeah.
Now, we all know Wigan Week is a big week in Warrington, but hang on a minute, it's not a sellout, so is it such a big week anymore in Warrington?
It's not a sellout?
Not yet.
How's that happen?
Not too sure, but...
Alright, I'm going to go out in the car park afterwards with my banner. We want it a sellout, don't we?
We do. So come on, Warrington fans, get to the Halliwell Jones tomorrow night and support the Primrose and Blue. But in the meantime, we're still celebrating, aren't we? It's Wigan Week.
Always like it. And there's free pies.
There is, if you do that app thing that you can get at the ground, isn't it? The first 100 callers, if you download the app onto your phone at the Halliwell Jones Stadium tomorrow night, by the way, the first 100 people who make an order get the pie free.
Hey, I tell you what, I'm going to do it. This is the Venue Menu app, of course, which you can download from all good app stores. Completely free of charge, of course.
Exactly. So and you don't even have to leave your seat. Just put your order in. I've seen them running around the Halliwell Jones Stadium and giving you the food.
Have you?
Looks good, yeah.
Hey, that sounds like something that I should put in for, to be honest. I wouldn't mind somebody dropping a pie off in my lap.
I don't think they go to the press areas, I'm sorry to say. They might do, though.
I certainly hope so. I'll still give it a shot anyway.
By the way, for Widnes Vikings, the Challenge Cup draw was made yesterday. Widnes have been given a favourable start to the road to Wembley. They've been drawn away to Halifax.
There's a chance of an upset there. What are you on about?
Halifax beat Widnes, you having a laugh?
You never know. You never know. Halifax are previous for knocking out Super League opposition, don't they? Over the last few years. So I'll certainly give them bloody nosies, that's for sure.
I'm sure Widnes will be aware that Halifax may have the ability to cause an upset, but I'm sure Dennis Betts and the Black and Whites will be up to the test, shall we say.
Yeah, and Kevin Brown spoke favourably of it as well. He's recognised that Halifax will see it as a possible cup upset, and he's already saying that Widnes are going to do everything possible to make sure that they don't fall and become one of the stats.
After many years of Jordan Keithley and Featherstone Rovers in the competition at the fourth round stage, or the first round stage for Warrington, Oh, this time round it's a tough looking trip to Hull Kingston Rovers, and believe you me, this if you mention this one to Paul Cullen, it's still giving them nightmares. I mean, the last time they won it was a cracker. It was settled by a late Lee Bridge drop goal, if you remember, but the year before, Paul Cullen still has nightmares about.
Yeah, and that was when Hull Kingston Rovers were a championship side themselves, weren't they, at that particular point in time? They played some excellent rugby that season, though, Rovers, and to be honest, they were a Super League club in all but name, as they proved on various occasions over the course of that particular season. But that's all ancient history, isn't it?
It is. Let's talk about this weekend and what happened last weekend as well. Coming up, we're going to hear from Richie Myler and Tony Smith. And for the Primrose and Blue, they made it 3 from 3. I'll be honest with you, it's a tough gig to go to Salford and get a victory, and that's exactly what Warrington did. Yeah,
there's always a lot of speculation and a lot of pressure, to be honest, isn't there? Mainly on Salford, to be honest, because their owner, Dr. Marwan Kukash, he keeps talking them up, doesn't he? And he keeps building them up, and they've come up with 3 consecutive defeats now. But Warrington weren't concerned about that. They had to go there, they had to be professional, and that's certainly what they were. They led by 16 points to 4 at half time. Chris Bridge opening the scoring after 19 minutes. I think Bridge has notched his 100th try finally. With all the emails that come from the Rugby League, he's been stuck on 99 career tries forever and a day, hasn't he? But he's finally got the 100 up. That came after 19 minutes. Mickey Hyam then went over a couple of minutes later. Stephen Ratchford added the goal to make it 10 points to 0, and then Gene Ormsby got his first bit of first team action with a try himself, didn't he? Which was a good. I'm pleased for Gene, because he looked a beast when he was playing over at Swinton last season.
I'm going to start growing my hair like Gene Ormsby. What do you reckon?
I reckon that it'd suit you, to be honest. Yeah, the old I can imagine you with an afro, or sort of certainly a big bob anyway.
Start growing it and then put it in dreadlocks. Yeah, me and Gene together.
Dominic Manfredi pulled a try back for Salford just before half time, and then in the second half, although Chris Bridge was forced off early doors, Joel Monaghan came up with his customary try after 50 minutes. Ratchford goaled again, 22 points to 4. Dominic Manfredi crossed for another try.
I made up he plays for Salford and not Warrington. We'll have to say his name every week.
But Roy Asatazi made it safe with a barge over try of his own after 65 minutes, and Ratchford goal. There was a little bit of consolation for Salford with Greg Johnson, who we talked about the other week, didn't we, having that magnificent little step and acceleration that he's got, going in for another try. But ultimately, Warrington too strong, and that, as you mentioned, that's a real good victory. Almost 6,500 there as well over at Salford. A big majority of those, I'd imagine, would have been Warrington fans.
Without a doubt, and now they're being made up on the short journey back home with the fact that Warrington have made it 3 from 3 after those 2 straight defeats.
Yeah, things are starting to come together now, aren't they, for Warrington? It was always a false position, that, wasn't it, after the opening two defeats. And
I mean, you got to realise the amount of talent they lost. So the guys who've come in, it's out with the old, in with the new. They got to work out how. Well, yeah. And got to work out the patterns of play and get used to the style of play and work out the new teammates.
But I mean, to be honest,
starting all over again.
It is starting all over again to a certain extent, and to be honest, it's nice to hear fans starting to talk about the likes of James Laithwaite, of course, a local player himself, and him starting to push through. Could he end up being as effective as Liam Farrell for Warrington in the long run?
He's got the build, hasn't he?
He definitely has. Yeah, I recall him from his spell that he had at Lee a couple of years ago. Was in excellent form over those 12 games that he played, and also did a stint at Hull Kingston Rovers on loan, so it is nice to see him finally getting the recognition that his talents have deserved. And with some of these other younger players coming through, Ormsby, there was no place for Rhys Evans after scoring 4 tries last week. That just tells you the sort of talent that Warrington have in the wings waiting for their opportunity. It does, doesn't it?
Because you think about it, they've got Kevin Penny back out on dual reg at Swinton,
scoring tries as well.
Chris Riley out on loan, so the competition in the back line is certainly intense.
It certainly suggests that they think there's something there with Gene Ormsby, doesn't it, if they've sent Chris Riley out on loan. I thought that was a real interesting move, to be honest, by Tony Smith. But young Ormsby seems to be benefiting from it at the moment, and to be honest, he didn't do so bad over at Wakefield himself, did he, the lad who's gone out there.
Next up for Warrington is a tough-looking game against Wigan Warriors, but like I said, we like Wigan week, and despite the fact last time we played those Cherry and Whites, the pesky Cherry and Whites, they did beat Warrington in the grand final. But in league games, Warrington have got a good record against the Warriors.
They have, yeah, and to be honest, this is a Wigan side that isn't playing particularly well at the moment. I saw the game last weekend against Hull Kingston Rovers, and whilst they finished it really well, they were very good for probably somewhere in the region of 45 minutes of the game. The first 35 minutes, it was all Hull Kingston Rovers, to be honest. And when you're looking at the start which Rovers have made to the season, the fact that Wigan themselves have lost a heck of a lot of talent, haven't they? I don't want to labour the point that they've lost a world-class full-back, but they have.
Can't remember who his name is.
Yeah, I'm not even going to mention him, but they've got Matty Bowen in there, and it's nice to see Matty actually come into some form. I know he received a lot of criticism over the first few weeks of the season, but he ran for 140 metres in that game against Hull Kingston Rovers, so he's obviously finding his feet, and to be honest, Wigan are as well. But I just get the feeling Warrington could still prove too strong for him.
Yeah, because don't forget that game against Hull Kingston Rovers at home at the DW last time on the road. They lost out to Castleford Tigers, and I think that'll give Warrington the confidence and hope they can get the job done on Thursday night. Yeah,
and I think that in that game against Castleford Tigers, they also conceded something like 9 points in quick succession in the last 3 minutes of the game. So it just points to the fact that if it's going to be a tight contest, Wigan could perhaps fall off the horse, couldn't they?
OK, let's hear from the gaffer. Let's hear from Tony Smith as he reflected on that win against Salford. Looks ahead to the game against Wigan, and we also got his thoughts on the forthcoming Challenge Cup showdown against Hull Kingston Rovers. Excuse the throat, by the way, because Tony's not being well this week.
I was just about to say, is that yours or his?
No, he's had the flu, he said.
OK.
So, Tony, it's a big week in Warrington this week. It's Wigan week, and we always look forward to that, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we've had some great battles with them over the last few years and some terrific games, and I think some of the games that we've played against Wigan have been some of the best of the season. So, we're expecting the same sort of intensity of game that we've had in the past, and I think the fans love it, and the rivalry's there, and the fact that the two teams have faced in some big games, such as last year's grand final, I think adds a little bit to it as well. So yeah, there's a whole lot of reasons why we should be excited about Wigan week.
Does the fact that they lost out to Castleford make them a dangerous team on Thursday?
Yes and no. They've been able to bounce back. They bounced back against Hull KR and put in a pretty solid performance there. Although Hull KR threw a whole lot at them too and looked pretty good at stages, but they showed their resilience there. But the fact that Cass were able to overcome them has probably shown other teams that they're capable as well of doing those sort of things. But you have to be very good to do that against Wigan. You have to be on your game. But we've improved in recent times, and last couple of weeks, I think our defence has got up to a standard that we're starting to, feel like we're happy with. So if we can maintain those sort of standards or improve them, it'll give us a chance against a team like Wigan.
It's a pleasing aspect to know that the guys are putting a bit of a winning streak together.
Yeah, not just the winning streak. The way they're going about it, their defence has improved enormously, and I think some of our attackers has as well. And just the way we've gone about it in the last 2 or 3 weeks has been the most pleasing aspect. If we can find that sort of consistency, which we're hoping to replicate, well, that'll give us a chance for games such as Wigan.
After a bruising battle against Salford, are there any injuries to worry about ahead of the game on Thursday?
No, we didn't pick up anything from the weekend, and which was great. And we've got Trent Waterhouse is back available for this week. He wasn't quite there for last week, but in terms of fitness, but he wasn't far off. Probably could have played him at a pinch, but he's raring to go for this week. And the other bit of good news is Paul Wood is back available for selection. He won't make the first team this week, so he'll be having his first hit out for Swinton on the weekend, and he's really excited about that, as we are. Because that gives us another body and another quality, experienced body to come back into the fray if he comes through healthy after the Swinton game.
Certainly some positive news ahead of the game on Thursday. Now, what do you think the guys are going to have to do to get the victory, though? Yeah, defend well. Certainly got to defend well. You know what's coming when you play Wigan, and they've got their systems that they play to and their structures that they play to, and they're very good at that. You still have to be very good at
and discipline and read well. What is coming at you, because they're very patient at it and consistent at it and very good at it. So, defence is one thing, but we also have to attack well and ask some questions of Wigan as well. They've been able to have some tries conceded this year, and we're hoping to force a few ourselves to be conceded.